Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Leo energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as high vibe Leo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Leo energy. We've all got our dualistic nature and we have to make decisions in our life, and we can battle within ourselves in our more worldly Leo egoic nature, which can be our more immature, fearful, prideful, self-indulgent nature. We could want to do some things in our life, but in our high vibe nature, wanting to be proud of ourselves, act with character and integrity, be loving to ourselves, treat other people the way we like to be treated. We temper our ego, we believe in our dreams, and we deal with our fears and insecurities to move forward in life and keep pursuing our dreams, having hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in others, but it's also dealing with the truth that if some people show us that they lack hope and faith and belief in love, or they're not being authentic, or they're not treating other people the way they like to be treated, then we need to deal with the truth of that too. And high vibe energy is about being a leader in the world, being a good example. And some people could be struggling within themselves. And at any given point in time, some people are moving forward in a more, life's about learning lessons. You can know some people who you think are kind of more immature, prideful, bossy, manipulative. Those people in turn could know people in their life that they think are more immature, controlling, and bossy or egotistical. We're all kind of looking for people who we kind of think are on the same page as we are. And some people are motivated to kind of keep moving forward in life, keep facing their fears, and other people might like to stay in their comfort zone. So let's go look at the top row. The reason for the top row's reading is the fish card, which is denoted by Pisces energy, which can talk about that we have a dream. It's also the reason why the reading came out, and you could have known people and they kind of have a different dream than you have. And as you get to know people, you kind of realize it. And then also, a more shadowy Pisces energy can be maybe more self-indulgent and maybe has illusions about what it means to be in relationships. And you might feel like they have some lessons to learn. Might like to stay in denial of the truth. And we've all had to learn lessons in life, and we've all had a hard time stepping out of our comfort zone to move forward in life, because we all kind of like to indulge ourselves in our comfort zone and not have to move into unknown territory, which is also what Pisces can talk about. And high vibe people listen to their intuition, and when their intuition tells them, if I keep staying where I'm at, the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Playmate card, and that reminds me of like Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy, where we are kind of indulging ourselves in our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our immaturity, and we're kind of ignoring our intuition because it does require us to deal with the truth, maybe speak our truth, love ourselves, heal. High vibe Sagittarius is people who've went through this kind of, life experiences. And through the course of those life experiences, high vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. I did learn valuable life lessons, and the end card of the bottom row is the photograph card, which can be about repeating past patterns, is how I interpret it. We all will repeat a pattern of a way of living life and viewing life, because that's how we view life. That's where we're at emotionally or spiritually or in our maturity, right? And we'll all repeat certain patterns in our life until we kind of get inspired to wrap our brain around this game of life. Am I going to keep doing the same thing over and over? Do I not dream? High vibe Sagittarius is about going on an adventure. What are my dreams? What would I find emotionally fulfilling? I might have found my life, living my life a certain way, emotionally fulfilling at one time, but to keep doing that where you're not kind of facing your fears, to be more bold and brave and confident, to go try new things, it can seem kind of stagnant, and then we might kind of be illuminated to the truth with the great water, reminding me of the water sign energies of Cancer and Pisces and Scorpio, but also with the sun there that, I had dreams and I want my dreams to come into reality and maybe make good memories is what the photograph card could mean. But if I keep repeating certain patterns over and over, and I'm not kind of growing and healing and maturing myself, this will be my life. And our intuition kind of tells us when it's kind of time to move on. You've done this long enough. There's nothing new to learn here. Be bold and brave and confident. Listen to your intuition. And then people go. We start out in the top row with the journey card. I went on a certain path of life. I went on that life experience. And I think I kind of learned the lesson I was supposed to learn from that phase of life. Just like, when we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, all those were opportunities to learn certain lessons. But who wants to keep staying stuck in that phase of life all our life? Life's about, I learned what I needed to learn. I could have realized that, this color also, in the old days, photographs were black and white, but it can kind of get to where our life is kind of black and white. Kind of no color, no excitement, no that spark of life. It's kind of like we're suppressing it. So we get inspired after we go through this experience. We kind of get inspired, even though there's a part of us that would like to keep repeating this old pattern, that my intuition is telling me it's time to go on a new journey. And in order to go on that new journey, we have to work through our fears and our insecurities we have about moving forward in life differently. And here we have the fortune teller, but this had come up in another reading with a card about a person wearing white, two feminine figures, and the feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. And they were kind of contrasting each other, that the white was like a bride willing to go on this new journey, this new life experience emotionally, disconnecting emotionally from the past and old ways of looking at life and viewing life to give birth to something new. And then this fortune teller card, with it being in black, kind of made me think about like how our mind and our fears try to stop us with the short illness. Like, you might not want to go that way. You should... The cards are wanting to kind of jump out of my fingers. You better not go that way. You could get hurt there. And then the anchor card is kind of talks about being anchored in emotionally into a way of living life and viewing life and people we're emotionally attached to. But all those things can be things that are stopping us from, in the fulfillment card, that also kind of reminds me of a 9 of Cups, which is Pisces energy. Am I being more emotionally codependent or emotionally independent? Am I in relationships with people who kind of harness these energies? Am I in my shadow nature kind of in these energies? Do I find it limiting and restrictive and confining and oppressive? And it can just be kind of being in our ego about so caught up in these things of the world. Because the anchor card, even though it has the water there, which makes me think of all 3 of the water signs, it also references Capricorn energy. And, there's a lot of things in the world that we're motivated and inspired by. And this picture, being a feminine figure, red hair and the apple, and the red hair can kind of represent fire sign energy, Leo's fire sign energy. There's a lot of things in the world that we would like to manifest and want in our life, but sometimes because we want those things so much or we make them so important, it's kind of blocking us from being more connected in with our emotions and our intuition. And this could also represent like our fear and our insecurity and our codependency. And so then we have to go on this journey to wrap our brain around this game of life and all these things that kind of manipulate us and other people in our life and how the world manipulates us. And we take inspired action, because Sagittarius is also fire sign energy. We take this inspired action to look at these things that manipulate us, that, you know, and if the people that we are in relationship with, if they're people who are authentic, high vibe Leo is like authentic and loving and encouraging and truthful and honest, you know, high vibe energy. Why would we be tempted, or other people, why would they be tempted more to align with their more shadowy nature and more shadowy people? Well, we've all got our shadowy Leo nature, which can be our ego and our fear and all those things. And some people are more caught up in the world, are kind of more emotionally like to manipulate people to try to get them to do what they want instead of being more authentic and loving. And it's to shed light on all of those things. What do I find emotional fulfilling? What about the people I'm in relationship with? Am I more independent of my ego in the world and they're more still emotionally kind of tangled up in it? And then we have the occupation card, which is, I view as Virgo energy, where we do this inner work within ourselves to see, we've done this work to kind of see the truth. And then we have to put our truth, because Virgo is our sign energy, which is about bringing things into reality. We need to start putting into practice basically the lessons that we've learned from these life experiences. And you know, we come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. Get to know people better, to find out more about what is their truth and what drives and motivates them, how they want to move forward in life. Because Virgo can be about what we're going to move forward, investing our time, energy, and effort into. We could have some people in our life, in our family, in our friend group, in our family, original family group, in our workplace, they all might want to come with. Because if you harness high vibe Virgo and the emotional water sign energies and Leo, yeah, you put a lot of work and effort to be loving and encouraging and supportive. And there can be shadowy people who want to come with you. But they still are repeating some of these old patterns, because people can be in shadowy more energy, but shadowy Leo energy would be, I'm going to try to create the illusion that I'm more high vibrational than I am. I want to move forward with you, but I'm not really high vibrational. I might use my intuition in a shadowy way. I think you might be attracted to me. I can tempt you with these things of the world, my looks, my charm, my money, sex, whatever, you know, ego. I'll use all these things to try to get you to indulge me in a relationship. And for some of you, you've already been in relationships with people who are like that. And you're like, yeah, I'm working through all of that about what would have made me even stay. Because if we don't want to repeat that old pattern, we have to figure out why we're kind of drawn and attracted to keep staying in relationships with people who are like that. And we have to work through our own fears and insecurities about moving forward in life without them. Facing our fears to go have a new beginning. Detaching from that job, that friendship, or that relationship. And then we have the adjudication card, calling judgment. Holding ourselves accountable and holding other people accountable. What is my truth? And high vibe energy is, I believe, in justice and fairness and treating other people the way you like to be treated and growing up and maturing yourself and holding yourself accountable for your actions. And that can be why some people aren't going to go on this journey with you and they're going to go repeat this old pattern. Some of them don't want to be held accountable for their actions. Some of them don't want to have to be just and fair. Some of them don't like to treat other people the way they like to be treated. Some people's truth is, I think it's just and fair for me to be harness these energies in a more shadowy way and get in a relationship with someone who doesn't act like that. That'd be great. So you're not going to be bossy or controlling or petty or manipulative or competitive or all those things. Great. That'd be great. I want to be in a relationship with you. But I still want to kind of act that way. But you might not find out till quite a way down the road of investing in a relationship with me. And then I'm hoping it will be hard for you to call judgment on me because you're attracted to me and you had a dream and you wanted that dream to come into reality and you put a lot of work and effort to try to bring a dream into reality. How about you just keep putting in that work and effort to make that dream come into reality? But Leo energy, also represented by the sun, I can't stay in illusion. If I'm in a relationship with someone who's more immature, and I want to be in a relationship with someone who's more authentic and insightful and just and fair and has learned some of the lessons I've learned and is willing to hold themselves accountable to a higher standard than they have in the past, which is what I'm trying to do, walking the talk, kinda, and they're not, then I have to call judgment on them because my dream can't come into reality with them. I have to get out of illusion. And then the ending card is like the death card in tarot, which is Scorpio energy, which is fixed sign energy, and Leo is fixed sign energy, meaning that it's kind of the Scorpio and Leo and Taurus and Aquarius are kind of like, I believe, kind of the zodiac sign energies that we more connect in with when we're in the middle of things, like already in the job, already in the relationship. And those are kind of the ones that we tap into. And Scorpio, talks about the mysteries of life emotionally. And we're these emotionally complex people. We can not want to be in a relationship with people and want to be in a relationship with people. We can not like a lot of things about people, but we can love them. It's like the emotional confusion of being an emotionally complex human being. And we would really like the things that we already have invested in. We'd like that dream to come into reality. And we'd like it to work out the way we want. But we do have to grow up and see the truth. And the truth is, there's some people in the world who do harness these energies more in a shadowy way. I don't know. I guess in maybe all three of their emotional water sign energies, emotionally, in their Cancer, their Pisces, their Scorpio, maybe in their fire sign energy of Aries and Leo and Sagittarius, in their Capricorn nature, in their Virgo nature. And I just looked up what the Judgment card and like the World card and the Wheel of Fortune card are all about, or what zodiac sign, and it was all the fixed sign energies. Because those are what we get into. And if we're going to go, Pisces energy also kind of, the fish going with the flow. And high vibe energy is like going with the flow. You're not in your ego staying in denial of the truth. It's kind of like the universe, God is trying to illuminate the truth to us, but because we have free will, it's like, oh no, I'm sure this will work. Oh no, I'm going to keep putting in work and effort. I'm sure one day they'll change. Well, the whole thing is, we shouldn't be trying to change other people. We should let people live their life. They have free will. We just have to be willing to deal with the truth. And they might be very fixed in how they view life. They might be very determined to be more about themselves, or immature, or prideful, or egotistical, or materialistic, or self-indulgent, or narcissistic, And then underneath that is the change card, which, of course, it's a vehicle, so it reminds me of the Chariot, which is Cancer energy, emotional water sign, about love and family. And some people are like, no. I might want to be in relationships, I might want to be in a family, but I want that person to be like emotionally balanced and loving, and I get to be immature. I get to repeat these old patterns, and they're the ones who put in this work and effort to make it seem emotionally balanced and put in the work and effort to move the relationship forward. And I kind of get to, in shadowy fire sign energy, kind of get to indulge myself in the relationship. I found someone who puts a lot of work and effort to make a relationship successful. Yay. And I don't have to. So long as people are willing to indulge me in my poor behavior. And some people realize that a dream of moving forward in a more emotionally balanced, loving way wasn't going to happen. And some people were repeating an old pattern. It's kind of like, oh, look, like they're sitting here and they see these people that are kind of in more shadowy energy. I'm going to go work with them and I'm going to try to get them to change. And the Death card can talk about transforming themselves, get them out of a more shadowy Pisces, Leo, and all these other zodiac signs of being more immature or fearful or bossy or whatever. I'm going to get them to get with the flow. I'm going to get them to change their philosophy of life from this to this. Well, there's a reason they have made all those free will decisions in their life. If they were desiring and had concluded they wanted to be a more bold, brave, confident, authentic, loving, just, fair, balanced person, self-aware, self-insightful, and worked through their own past pain and heartbreak or self-limiting beliefs to probably make them act in a shadowy way, they would have. And we need to see the truth of it. And some people have learned that lesson, that I can see people that I'm attracted to, but I know I want to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, authentic, loving relationship. So even though I could be attracted to some people, I don't want to repeat that old pattern. And I'm going to keep putting in this work and effort to work through my own issues that would make me want to maybe kind of chase after people. I think high vibe people aren't in their ego. They illuminate the truth. They offer people truth and love. I have healed, I've grown, I've matured, I look at life differently than I used to. I'm moving forward in this way. I have transformed my own illusions about life and being caught up in the illusion, about being so caught up in those things of the world and making those things so important in my life. I'm really more inspired now to want to go enjoy life, but I don't want to be immature. I don't want those things to kind of drive my life off into the ditch. It's all about balance. The world is meant to be enjoyed, but if you give those things too much importance, you can make those things the answer to your life problems or making you feel better. And, it's to be enjoyed in moderation, so you can go enjoy things in the world without it getting a stranglehold on you and completely driving your life off into the ditch. And it's holding yourself and other people accountable. I don't want to indulge in an illusion. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who presents themselves as being like emotionally mature, just and fair, authentic and loving, but they're really not. And they're actually like defensive to being in a more deep, meaningful relationship. Scorpio in high vibe is about deep, meaningful relationships, exploring the mysteries of life emotionally. And some people are like, that's all really scary to me. I find my emotions confusing. Both Pisces and Scorpio can be about kind of emotional confusion. And I find that really confusing. I like to indulge in relationships, but I kind of align with secretly with my more being more inspired and by the world and being in it more for myself and how it benefits me. And so long as it's working out in that regard, I will be in it. But if my intuition starts to tell me I'm headed into the danger zone where I could get hurt, or people do want me to start putting in work and effort or be more accountable for my actions, then no, this relationship's over. And we have to see the truth. If there's people in your life being immature, being bossy, being controlling, some of them it might be because they want you to leave. Because trying to maintain the illusion or present that they like to be more just and fair or tempered or balanced and not be more prideful or egotistical or whatever. It gets to be where, damn, that is not my truth. I want to go do this instead. But, again, some people, because of social pressure or peer pressure, they go to live their life in a way that really isn't aligned with their truth. And everybody should go live their truth. They're just going to have to deal with the consequences of their life choices, right? But we have to see the truth. If people were motivated and inspired to be more bold and brave and confident, be more authentic, be more loving, be more self-aware and insightful, and be held accountable for their actions, they would move forward with people who act like that. But there's some people, it's like, I don't find that to be as fulfilling. I would rather maybe go find some other people who got some fear and insecurity and immaturity, and because that's just kind of where they're at. And some other people are like, high vibe Virgo, I know my worth and value, and I know what I bring to the table, and I'm going to go keep moving forward in my life. And the people in the world that are in that same energy, who appreciate self-insightful, self-disciplined, emotionally mature, loving people who are encouraging and just and fair and fun, they'll want to be in a relationship with me. So will some shadowy people, but I've already been in a relationship with the more shadowy people, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm not going to get myself tangled up in one, maybe out of lust or something to indulge myself in. Some people did do that, and then they kind of have a hard time. They might meet someone that's like, oh my gosh, that'd be like someone I'd really like to be in a relationship with, but I kind of didn't keep moving forward, kind of putting in the work and effort to not indulge myself, to maybe feel better or something. And then some of those people got themselves tangled up in something they maybe never should have gotten themselves into. And now, in order to move forward in life, Virgo energy is about revealing the truth. The Adjudication card is about revealing the truth. Kind of like Judgment Day. People are going to judge me. I have to take accountability for my actions. And am I willing to live my authentic truth, or stay in something that either I shouldn't have gotten into, or I had the best of intentions, but then I found out the person I'm in a relationship is kind of shadowy. But by worldly standards, it looks good, so I'm kind of in my ego about getting out of it, and maybe they'll change, and, and you might know some people who are doing that. And so long as they're still in that energy, like, oh no, I'm sure they're going to change one day, it's like, okay, well, you do you. I'm going to keep moving on. I've already been there and done that, and it can be really hard to get out of You know, again, we're these emotionally complex people. We have a lot of different things that drive and motivate us, and it's confusing, and it takes a lot of work to kind of untangle it all. And then, well, am I going to stand up for my truth? And eventually people can get to that point where it's like, I'm going to hold myself accountable. If I have people in my life who try to tempt me to be more in my lust or my greed or my pride or my ego or something, or kind of get in competitive energy or fighting or arguing, it's like, you know, I choose peace and I choose love. And it's, the fulfillment card is also kind of reminding me of a high priestess energy, which is Pisces and Cancer energy that anyone can harness, where it's like, you know what? I think I'm just going to sit back and kind of observe. I'm not going to play the games. People might try to bait me. And even though it could get me kind of fired up in anger or competitive energy or ego, I'm not going to take the bait. I'm just going to sit back and observe how other people choose to act. If I keep being in an energy of peace and love and encouragement and self-discipline, and I'm not going to maybe go indulge in the fight or the argument or the whatever. If you want to go do that, you go do that. You know, and kind of as time goes by too, people start to see that, you know, kind of now, instead of being caught up in it or triggered by it, it's just kind of watching what other people do. And it kind of helps you kind of maybe get more clear of what drives and motivates some other people. And you were kind of caught up in it or in the illusion of it or something. And then it's kind of able to help you more clearly see what you need to detach from. And are we chasing after people? Are other people chasing after other people? You know, we're all drawn and attracted, I think, to certain people because we have valuable life lessons to learn from them. And those people might remind us of some kind of deep emotional connection. Could be buried in our subconscious since we were a child. You know, people in our life who we wish they were more just and fair and authentic and loving, and sometimes we're trying to get other people who have those traits and characteristics because it's kind of in our ego, like, this time I'm going to win. You know, I was a kid then, or I was younger than them if it was dating, or I was their child and they were my parent and they weren't very warm or loving and nurturing. And then I think we can be drawn and attracted to people because kind of hidden beneath the surface are these old wounds that kind of keep us in our ego that haven't healed. And so we'll be drawn and attracted to certain people because it's kind of like, we want to win. This time we want it to go the way we wanted it to go. And kind of by repeating that past experience, but with different people, you know, again, it can just be, why do I do this? Why do I chase after people who don't treat me the way I treat them? Do I not think I deserve a more just and fair relationship? And sometimes people can be a very loving person, but people to love them, it's kind of like they really haven't loved themselves, but they can be very loving and nurturing to other people. But it's kind of like, oh no, well, you can't love me. Like if somebody were to come in your life who is more like you, it's like, oh, I'm not used to that for one. That's out of my comfort zone. I'm kind of used to hanging out with these kind of people and they don't treat me like that. So that's kind of uncomfortable. And then I might not realize I have these hidden wounds, and all these different relationships that we get in and friendships and workplaces are these little small steps, because Virgo is about taking small steps forward, of learning these lessons and kind of working through some of those issues that were buried beneath the surface. And Scorpio and Pisces can talk about those things kind of being buried beneath the surface also, and not realizing how it affects us and the actions that we take in life. And then we've really got to do this deep dive And Virgo energy, again, can be about taking this time alone to really work through these issues of the past and your past pain and heartbreak and your connections that you've had with different people in your life. And High Vibe Virgo and High Vibe Leo is about just shedding light on it, just seeing the truth of it, that everybody is where they're at. They all have their past pain and heartbreak. They've got their fears, their insecurities, their childhood wounding, their ego nature. And I just see the truth of it, that if other people had done some of this work within themselves, the people who did were more giving and loving and warm and just and fair and encouraging and supportive. And the people who didn't, you have to even be inspired to want to get more balance within yourself. The Chariot talks about getting more balance within yourself. And some people don't even see that they're out of balance and that they don't see what drives and motivates them, and they keep repeating these old patterns. And if they even do think about looking at it, we can all give up putting in work and effort to work through it, right? And then we can go do something else to make ourselves feel better or to think we think is the answer. But really the answer lies within us. And the people who've done that work within themselves, again, they've transformed themselves. And they've kind of set themselves free, because high vibe energy is about being more independent of the past, more independent of being more manipulated by your own worldly egoic nature and your fears and lust and immature nature, whatever, to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships and appreciating yourself. And I view high vibe Leo as loving yourself and like giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. We don't have to repeat these patterns. And if we see people like, oh my gosh, you remind me of someone who had that kind of issue, or they were an alcoholic, they were abusive, they were egotistical, they were hurtful, they were unkind. Oh my gosh, in the past, I might have tried to get in a relationship with you. I was going to show you, you should love me. And you should choose love. Now, no, I can see people that I might be attracted to, but I've already been illuminated to the truth that if I take action more out of planting bad seeds, fear, insecurity, codependency, whatever, I can't have the abundant harvest that I want. And then if I'm planting good seeds, my dream can only come into reality of having that just and fair and balanced and abundant and loving and authentic relationship if the other person is in that energy. So, high vibe Leo is about tempering your more worldly, egoic, beastly nature and taking those slow, steady steps forward in truth and love to transform your life. And the high vibe people who are learning some lessons in life are detaching from an old way of viewing life and living life. So, you could look, there's many lessons to be learned in life. So some people, they're here, other people are here, other people are here, other people are there. All those people could be learning lessons, but it's kind of like in tarot, they talk about it as like being on different timelines, but it's really kind of the different lessons that you've learned in your life. And we should all be happy and grateful when other people have freed themselves from some things that manipulate them, because we need more healed people in the world, more balanced people, more loving people, right? Instead of more immature, hurtful, unkind, egotistical, narcissistic, all about themselves people, right? So high vibe people are transforming their life. They're going with the flow, getting out of their ego. It's like, okay, God, I have seen the truth. I will accept the truth. And if life, I believe, is about learning lessons, I think the next lesson has to appear. But part of the lesson, and it can take a long time because Virgo is about doing that inner work and taking that time alone. If you don't want to be tempted to repeat that old pattern, it takes doing all this inner work to get really more connected in with yourself emotionally, loving yourself, believing in yourself, holding yourself and other people accountable. And by the end of that whole process, you wouldn't even have an interest of living your life like that again, or repeating certain patterns, or being in certain type of relationship dynamics. And then there might be some people in your life, because they're not healing or growing or maturing themselves, you don't view them the way you used to. Before, you could have viewed them as someone who was more stable and grounded and warm and authentic and loving. And in some ways they could have been, but it could have been all for how it benefited them. And they didn't like it if you healed and grew, you matured yourself in the relationship, where then you wanted to move forward in life differently, in a more just and fair. And they're like, well, no, I always wanted to do this. I never planned to step out of my comfort zone. I never planned to be more authentic or more loving. I might like to play that role in people's life, but then I put an end to giving birth to anything new. They never... Pisces energy and Sagittarius is about the fire sign energy and the emotional water sign and Virgo, that we tap into to transition out of a way of living life. And some people are like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to repeat this pattern. But I might like playing that role in people's life, but only until they want me to do that inner work. And then, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll go find someone else. I'll play that role in their life. And for some people, that's why they came into your life. And they maybe did play a role in your life that could have been encouraging and supportive and more balanced and more stable and more just and fair than what you were used to. But because of this underlying kind of issue where a little more motivated by self-interest or ego, or it's good for my ego and my image, you could have your own traits and qualities and characteristics that make people drawn and attracted to you. So then it's kind of good for their ego and image or whatever. It makes them look like they've moved on, that they've healed or grown and matured themselves. But then as time goes by, you kind of see the truth that they have some of these same issues. They might have more stability, more security, be a little more confident, or a little, or at least hide it better than you could have in the past. But it all provided an opportunity for you to do that work. So in a way, it kind of was a blessing in your life. Because God knows what you want to manifest. And you were repeating some old patterns. They could have been repeating some old patterns. And everybody had the opportunity to move forward. And there are people in our life, that other people who played that role in our life, and those people are still moving forward with us because they are willing to keep moving forward. And it wasn't just more about kind of how it benefited them. But other people aren't going to move forward with us because there's some inner work that they're not ready to do or they don't want to do. So let's go look at the old pattern. Past life, seduction, the heart, the great water, and the photograph. Let's see, the 7th house, what is that about? Oh, Libra energy. I guess I maybe could have guessed that with the heart card. Just because Libra is represented by like the 3 of Swords. So, we all got these lessons learned. I think because we are drawn and attracted to certain people because we haven't got more balance within ourselves. Libra is about balance. We haven't seen the truth yet. And we do have these things kind of buried beneath the surface emotionally that we haven't been illuminated to. So I think we will be drawn and attracted to certain people because they can kind of be a key to getting us to work through some of that. Even if it is someone who's wanting us to, say we look up to someone who is more high vibe and we admire their work ethic and that they are dedicated or loving, but maybe we weren't ready to move forward with those people, so we kind of repeated a pattern, and there too we can get in relationships with other people that are more on the, we have all these different people in our life. We have high vibe people, more shadowy, worldly people. From all of those people, it's all to help us get more clear about what our truth is. Some people who could have gotten in relationships with some of you could have thought, oh no, say, we can all know people who's like, oh, I'm being a player, I'm really indulging in these certain things, but boy, if the right person came along, boy, I'd really shake my life up. And then they have that opportunity to do that, and they keep thinking, and they could get in it thinking, oh yeah, I know when push comes to shove, I will make that decision. Well, it ended up kind of illuminating, just like it did for us at different times in our life, that, oh, I guess I'm really not ready. I'm not as emotionally stable or balanced or whatever. And if I got myself in a relationship who was more stable and grounded, I guess I got some more issues to work through that I thought I was maybe more emotionally mature than I was. So the whole thing is, it just kind of illuminates where people are at. And some people do have this view of relationships where they think other people will kind of keep indulging them in their poor behavior. You at one time in your life, or if that's you now, could think people would keep indulging you in poor behavior. And some people aren't, and just like you in relationship to some other people aren't. And then that can kind of be illuminating for some people, because there can be some people in the world that could use their emotions and their sexuality and their words and their charm and their looks or money, whatever they got, trying to keep people to keep being in a relationship and keep indulging them in their shadowy ways of being. And people will kind of do that for maybe quite a long time until they just can't kind of ignore the truth that someone who they might hope one day will grow up and mature themselves, that they keep repeating this old pattern and they kind of keep indulging them in that old pattern. And this is not going to move forward in a more emotionally balanced way. And that's when people kind of do this work within themselves. Why do I stay? Why do I put up with a bad boss or a shitty coworkers or bad neighborhood or whatever, Why don't I love and believe in myself enough? And it's going to take a lot of work and effort, but I can't wait for other people to change. I want my life to be at peace and joy and love now. And part of that can be that I have to emotionally distance myself and detach from certain activities, certain people, change my viewpoint. I have free will to sit in shadowy, negative, harsh, self-critical, petty, envious, jealous ways of thinking all day if I want. Well, I can choose to try to grow my life in that soil, or I can see how it doesn't really work for me, and I would benefit by maybe having more hope and faith and belief and quit thinking the worst about myself and others and have a more, it's one thing to deal with the truth. It's another thing to kind of indulge ourselves in negativity or self-persecution. It's another thing to let other people be indulgent, but to let them be abusive and unjust and unfair, And so high vibe people are emotionally detaching from something. And while they're doing that, and other people in the world are doing that, there's going to be other people who aren't. And partly, it's either that they don't want to see the truth, because we can free willingly, I'm not prideful, I'm not bossy, I'm not immature, I don't drink too much, and we can keep staying in denial. Or they really lack some self-insight, and it is kind of, they keep giving in to their fear or their insecurity or their pride or their ego or their lust or greed, and they completely lack self-discipline, and they got some hard lessons to learn about that. And then there's some people that are very kind of full of themselves, and they think, I'm just going to sit over here, I think I'm all that, male or female, and it could be trying to create an image. I'm going to try to present myself as being this, but I'm really this. But there will be people who will come to check out the waters. I'm a fish in the sea, and they'll come check me out. And if they haven't learned to listen to their intuition, or they ignore it, or because of whatever it is that attracts them to me, they're willing, that's pretty important to them, that they'll kind of, they might be able to trap them to stay in a job, a friendship, or relationship with them. And some of the people they try to trap are going to see through the illusion, and they're going to emotionally detach from them. And then other people will still be caught up in the illusion of them. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming? The King of Swords, the Five of Pentacles, the Page of Cups. And the reason is because of the Ace of Cups. High vibe people stood up and spoke their truth. That can be another reason why other people aren't moving forward with you, because they'd have to maybe speak their truth, and they're not willing to do that. High vibe Leo, illuminating the truth. You also invested in getting balance within yourself. Other people don't want to get balance within themselves. They're happy being out of balance, more about themselves, or indulging their more immature worldly nature. And you saw the truth that if you wanted to move forward in life, detach, the Five of Pentacles detaches from an old foundation that you were holding on to, that you had to offer love to it, because love is the answer. Love is the truth. And so you did that. You offered love and truth to people, and you stood in your truth, and you said, I'm moving forward in truth and love and justice and fairness and balance. Do you want to come with me? And some of those people were like, yeah, no, you can go. I'll go find someone else to be in a relationship with. It's like, okay. And as you go through this process within yourself, it helps you, as you keep standing up and walking your truth, maintaining balance within yourself, observing how other people are living their life and the action they're taking, it kind of also helps you work through the emotional confusion that people aren't who you thought they were. If they were motivated to be just and fair, they'd be just and fair. If they were motivated to act with character and integrity, they would. If they were motivated to be more authentic and loving, they would be. And some people aren't ready to do that and may never be ready to do that. And the truth set you free. And you're going on a new beginning. And as you move forward with the people in your life who are in that energy with you, it's like wishing the people in your past peace, because that's what sets you free from getting out of your ego. It gets you out of your ego by offering love to yourself and the situation. Love is what set you free, that you can close out a chapter in your life. Some other people still have the pain, the heartbreak, the fear, the insecurity, the defensiveness in their ego, in their competitive energy, and it keeps manipulating them, and they keep giving into it. You also might have seen the truth that some people who want to move forward with you, or did want to move forward with you, wanted to live more from their mind than their heart, and more about the world, shadowy Libra and Taurus energy. And high vibe Empress energy of giving birth to something new is Libra Taurus energy. But you harness it differently than some other people in your life. They're either more defensive, more aligned with the world, kind of immature, want to be indulged. Shadowy Empress energy can be someone, and it's how people think and feel, where they think they indulge your more immature nature, and they think you should too. Or they think they're just and fair. You should think they're just and fair. It's like your idea of what's just and fair and what I think is just and fair is obviously completely different. And I'm moving on. You can go be your idea of just and fair, or nurturing or loving or encouraging, with someone else. And I think as you move forward in that energy, there's going to be other people in the world In high vibe, the Page of Cups is like other people who have that hopeful, believing spirit, who aren't manipulated by their more immature, worldly nature. And that's kind of the energy you're in. And you're going to meet other people who are in that energy that are more on the same page as you. And then we don't have the card out here, but the Six of Cups is like Scorpio energy, where it has like two young people being in a relationship where it's equal give and take, a deep, meaningful relationship where you can let your more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play because you know that person is a just and fair person who's being authentic and loving, and you can let your more authentic nature out to play. Other people tried to abuse that and tried to manipulate it. Oh, I know you love me. I think I can do this and this and this. And I don't think you'll love and believe in yourself enough to leave. And some of you did. And some of those people like, shit, that's maybe happened before. Damn, I thought this person was going to stay. But since they didn't, I got to go find someone else. What's coming up for people? I think you're going to get justice and you're going to be able to detach and have this new beginning. What's coming up for people who might harness some more worldly, shadowy Leo energy that they might not see coming? We got the Star card, the Chariot, the Seven of Swords. I'm kind of feeling the cards to feel if there's an extra card. The Eight of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Two of Cups. The shadowy people kind of want to keep moving forward. They're aligned with maybe looking like a shining star in the world or being more about themselves, and they kind of harness their emotional nature of Cancer in maybe a more superficial, shallow way in order to deceive and manipulate people. Like, no, I'm ready to move forward in life. I'm independent of the past. But then they just keep juggling, not really investing. Some people go back and forth. Well, I want to hang out with the loving people, but then eventually the loving people, they want me to grow up and heal or not be more about myself or more caught up in the world. So then I kind of get tired of those people, and then I want to go hang out with the people who are more about indulging in these things of the world or ego or image or more fearful or codependent who'll indulge me more in my ego. And then I kind of get tired of being in a relationship with them. And, you know, some people just like to go back and forth. They themselves haven't, in their dualistic nature, haven't picked a path, but other people have. And some of these people, you know, the high vibe people they went and got in a relationship with, those people have moved on. Then they could have went and got in a relationship with someone who is more like them, but they weren't sure if they really kind of wanted to be in a relationship with someone who is more like themselves. You know, I don't know, there's a lot of things I like about this, but then I kind of like those people are more loving and giving or self-disciplined and nurturing and warm, and you're kind of more like me. So then they can't decide if they want to stay in a relationship with them, and then those people like turn their back to them and don't want to be in a relationship with them because they couldn't decide if they wanted to move forward with them either. And they keep juggling back and forth, and then there's some people who do want to just keep juggling. I don't want to really, the Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy, the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Cups is Pisces energy. I don't know that I really want to bring a dream into reality. I kind of get up in my head about it, and I might want to be in a relationship, but I don't know that I want to do that. They're kind of stuck between worlds, but other people have made a choice. Some people are like, I'm doing truth and love and character and integrity, and I've learned lessons about people like this. Other people who are more worldly, shadowy, self-indulgent, immature, whatever, they want someone who's picked that path. And then there's these people in the middle that can't pick a path. And they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life who did want a dream to come into reality with them, but eventually they listen to their intuition and they move on. They offer themselves that cup of love to get out of the illusion and to love themselves, and they pick up their investment in these people. And then these people got to go find someone else to go get in a relationship. And eventually what's probably going to happen is that the people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them are people who are just like them. Either I like to juggle too, I can't decide, I like to go back and forth. If something better comes along, I'll probably go get in a relationship with that person. If they're willing to indulge me more, they got more image or status or fear. And, it just depends on why some people like to be in relationships with people. Shadowy Leo could be, I like to manipulate and control you, and I like it to be more about me. If some people are in a relationship with these people and they could seem more stable or victorious or balanced than the people they get in a relationship with, well, then those people are like, we're kind of not on the same page. I'll go find someone else who might not be as much. They could have someone who tries to get them to chase them, because some people like people to chase them. Shadowy energy can be, I like people to fight over me. Well, I'm going to get you in a relationship, and then I'm going to detach from you and juggle you. I want you to chase after me. And so the whole thing is, sometimes what goes around comes around. And then hopefully it could make us see the truth, or kind of make us just think that, why do I keep doing this? Or why do I keep getting in relationships with people? Because again, there are loving people that try to offer love and encouragement to others, but they didn't want to see the truth that when other people show them, I'm not open or love, be friends, be encouraging, emotionally kind of keep your distance, where I can be loving and encouraging to people, but I'm not going to move forward in a more deep, meaningful relationship, because you're still caught up in the illusion of yourself or the world or these things that manipulate you. And I have a dream, and I'm not willing to give up my dream. If you're motivated and inspired to do this work within yourself, then do this work within yourself. And then we'll be on the same page. And as you're moving forward in your life, it could encourage some people that because high vibe energy, again, being a leader in the world, for some of those people to question their life. Well, I could keep chasing this and doing this, but why am I not moving forward in a more emotionally balanced way? Why am I so caught up in, this is the person, or this is the way to live life, or this is what's most important? High vibe energy is about balance. Do I want these things of the world? Like the rest of us, I want some stability and security, and would like to enjoy the finer things in life. Am I willing to sacrifice love for it? Some people are. Some people want you to sacrifice your own emotional balance, your own dreams, your own love for yourself, to make it all about these things or them. Kind of like putting someone else in the place of God in a way of your life. And I don't think you have to be religious, but we talk about devil and God as being the contrasting realities of duality, high vibe or more shadowy or low vibe. But it can just be where you give up your dreams and being your own individual and standing up for justice and fairness. And some people are like, yeah, I don't want to be in a relationship. You know your value. You want me to be just and fair. No, I'll go find someone else who will make their life more about me, and they gave up their dreams, and it's all about me and indulging me and my ego or something, And if they do get someone to move forward with them, it might be more of because of how it looks, because shadowy energy is like trying to create the illusion that I have what other people have. But other people could see the truth. No, I think you're more emotionally invested in yourself or your ego or your image or money or materialism or something. And other people are like, I don't buy it that this is a just and fair and authentic loving relationship. There's something else driving this relationship. that you could both love, but I don't think it's about being authentic and loving. And then other people cannot really want to hang out with them because it is like the rubbing elbows and the social climbing, and it's that shadowy Scorpio. It's superficial and shallow. And that's what you could end up realizing about some people, that they're more all about putting on a show and more superficial and shallow. And you saw the truth of it, and it's like, no thanks. And you, just like you left, other people are going to detach from those type of situations. And you're going to move forward. Those people are going to move forward. And as people are moving forward, they're kind of looking to find those people in the world that have learned those same lessons as them. And then the people who didn't learn the lessons are going to go find people who are more on the same page as them. And we just need to listen to our intuition based on these lessons we've learned. Take slow, steady steps to get to know people before you decide to invest in moving forward in a more emotionally involved relationship with people. The other people, oh, they don't want to wait. They want people to get involved right away and get them attached. So then hopefully you won't be going anywhere. Other people have learned lessons in life, don't want to rush into things either, because they've been there before and gotten burned, and they don't want, they've learned. The truth is, I need to maintain balance within myself, keep focused on my future and moving forward. I can get to know people. I can work together with other people. If they want to move forward with me and we keep getting to know each other, then we do. And at some point in the future, we will both see if we are willing to go have this new beginning together, or if you the pages can be like, the way that we deal with just people in the world at large, at the store, at work, in our community. It's a friendly kind of gesture, but it doesn't go to anything more. And some of those people we realize, no, you're staying in the friend zone, And I'm going to take my time to get to know people to find out the truth. Well, shadowy people don't want to do that also because they're in their ego. I know those people are loving and just and fair and authentic. I know people would want to be in a relationship with them. And that probably when they do get in a relationship with someone, based on the lessons they've learned from me, it's going to be an authentic, loving relationship. Well, I'm in my ego about that. Boy, I got to try to get me in a relationship to make me look like I'm moving forward and I'm the shining star and I moved on. I've picked up my investment in them. They maybe were never really emotionally invested to begin with. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.